Baseball in the Boroughs is brought to you by Verizon. With my plan, get exactly what you want and only pay for what you need. The Yankees are all set to start another series in their borough, and the red-hot Mets have been handling business outside of theirs out on the West Coast. So let's bring in SNY baseball insider Andy Martino for this edition of Baseball in the Boroughs, sponsored by Verizon. Had to throw that out there, of course. Andy, thanks for joining us. Let's hop right into this, and we'll start off with the Yankees. They got blown out by Baltimore last night. They split that series 2-2. So what are some of your takeaways from that Orioles series?
Well, a big takeaway, Brandon, for me is what a shame it was for the Yankees that the bullpen, which is normally absolutely excellent, let the third game of that series get away, because you're going to have blowouts, and there are concerns with Luis Severino for sure. So I don't mean to just dismiss the blowout. But after the first two games of that series, the feeling was, wow, this is really potentially a statement series for the Yankees. The Orioles are ahead of them in the standings. They beat them 2 in a row. They had a lead in the third game. And uncharacteristically, you had the Michael Kings and your Ian Hamiltons come in and struggle a little bit. So that's really my takeaway, is that the game that got away, which was started by Randy Vasquez up from AAA, and the Yankees could have stolen that game, they gave it away late, and that sort of changed the feel of the whole week for them.
Well, they got the Cubs tonight in the Bronx. You can't let that first game or even the series get away. So how important is it to win this series and for the Yankees to get back on track?
It's important, but not crucially important, Brandon. I think that the cliche of it being a long season really shows up in these series. Obviously, good teams win series, but where the Yankees are at, the division is close to out of reach, as good as the Rays are, even though they've been struggling more lately. Yankees are holding serve really nicely overall without Aaron Judge. So where you'd prefer a series win over the Cubs to a series loss, of course, I don't feel like they're in a place in the season that's anything close to make or break, or you have to win the series or anything like that. They've really earned themselves the right to not be in that kind of season on the brink kind of place.
All right, well, we spoke with the Post baseball writer Dan Martin the other day, and he was pretty confident that the Yankees are going to make the postseason. So what are your thoughts on that? I know you kind of brushed up on that, but go into even more detail.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Dan. I'd be very surprised if they weren't. This is a good team. They lack some of the star power, and their stars, their veteran stars, like Giancarlo Stanton, are not performing. But they've done so well around the margins of the roster. Terrific bullpen, terrific bench. Judge will be back. I talked to him the other day. He's very, very confident that his rehab is going well from that sprained toe and that he'll be back. Carlos Rodon's debut on Friday is absolutely a huge get for them. Nestor Cortez, the all-star, of course, not pitching like an all-star this year, but he will be back. So there are really a lot of reasons why I believe the Yankees are going to continue trending upward.
All right, let's switch on over to Queens and talk about the Mets, because despite a funky month of June, they're still handling business outside of their borough, and they seem to have gotten hot at the right time. 5 wins in a row. I can't believe it. So you think that this team is finally living up to their offseason expectations, or is this just one of those average mid-season runs that every team goes on?
Probably more the latter, and again, that's where the long season thing comes into play. And this is where Buck Showalter, one of the things that he does so well is that he was trying really hard not to get too low during the terrible June that they had. And now you can see him, if you watch our post games, you can see Showalter not getting too excited that they've won now 5 in a row. It's just managing those highs and lows are what makes a team successful over the course of a season. And what we're seeing now, of course, is the talent level that the Mets have all of a sudden becoming apparent again. I mean, in talking about this a few weeks ago, this is the most talented bad team I'd ever seen when they were going badly. So it's there. It's always been there. So I don't think anyone's surprised that they're now winning games. They're hot, and no one stays hot to this level forever, but they need to make up some ground. All of a sudden, they're doing it in a hurry. And really, it is closer to what people expected to see from a team that really does have this much talent on it.
Well, let's see if they can stay hot out on the West Coast, because they take on the Padres in a late one tonight, way past my bedtime. But yeah, what are your expectations for this series?
Also some expectations for sleep before that game is over with you there, Brandon. But look, I expect them to, well, I should expect. The way this season's going, honestly, I expect them to be really good. They were really bad. Then I expected, this might be over this might not be their year, and now they're really good again. So what do I know? They need to stay hot. This is a really important time to stay hot. They better expect that, because the front office is still trying to decide buy, sell, or hold stand pat at the trade deadline. And they have the draft coming up this weekend. The front office is focused on the draft right now. It will turn fully to trade deadline strategy after the draft. So going into the All-Star break hot out of this San Diego series is going to be pretty key in terms of Billy Epler and Steve Cohen deciding what to do. Do you keep your veteran stars and try to go for it, or do you sell them off and figure this isn't our year? A really important weekend for getting clarity on that.
Yeah, that's one of those what came first, the chicken or the egg type questions, because you really don't know what to do. They're currently 6.5 games behind for a wild card spot. We talked about the Yankees and how they kind of went through their adversity. What lessons can the Mets learn from the first half adversity that they went through and now can apply to the second half of the season?
They played so uncharacteristically sloppily, Brandon, like just mental mistakes, bad errors, things that were beneath their level of talent and what they've done in their career. And Showalter's just trying to get them to stay in the moment and not make it too big and not press. And a lesson that they could carry forward here is not to worry so much about the expectations that have been on the team or what they're supposed to be doing, but just execute what you're supposed to do in any given moment. And we're seeing that more over the last several days. We're seeing just better play, cleaner games. And that's what they need to take into the second half, because if they play up to their capabilities and if they don't play that sloppy brand of baseball that they played too much in the first half, they're going to win a lot of ball games because, as we said before, they're a talented team.
There's no I in team, but there is in win in details. Andy Martino, thanks for joining us.
All right, Brandon, thanks.